Today we're in Genesis 3, verse 7, which tells us the outcome of Adam and Eve's catastrophic decision to eat the forbidden fruit. Kai dianoikthesan hoi ophthalmoi ton duo. Kai egnosan hati gumnoiesan. Kai erapsen phula sukes. Kai apoiesan heautois perizomata. You'll notice right out of the gate there's a bunch of kais here, and that accurately reflects the underlying vavs in the Hebrew, and it shows us this cascade of effects, and this, and this, and this, and this. And so what are these outcomes? The first main verb here is dianoikthesan. That's from dianoigo, and we'll come back to that. We've seen this before, but you see anoigo, this is to open. And with the thesan and the lengthening right after the prepositional dia, this is going to be a third plural aorist passive indicative. And so what was opened? Well, we see it's their eyes. So the eyes were opened, and it's the eyes of the two. Now, just to point out, duo does not decline, so this is a genitive plural, but duo doesn't change its spelling. So the eyes of the two were opened, and egnosan. This is from gnosko, and with the san ending, this is a third plural aorist active indicative from gnosko. So they knew, and what do they knew? That asan gumnoi. Now, gumnas here means naked. Asan here is the imperfect of a me, and so they knew or became aware that they were naked. And then the next step, kai erapsan. This is from hrapto. And you'll see that you have an epsilon that has been prefixed as the past time indicator. The P here, or the PT, the T's dropped, the P has square stopped into a psi. So this is going to be a third plural aorist active indicative again. And that word means to sew, or perhaps to stitch together. So they stitched together phula. This is from phulon or phylon, and this is the word for leaf. So this will be the plural. There'd be accusative plural there. So they stitched together leaves, and then it's leaves of a suche, and that is a fig or a fig tree. And so they sewed together fig leaves, if you will. And then why do they do that? Kai apoiesan, which is the third plural aorist of poieo, of course, and they made for themselves, that's your reflexive pronoun there, perizomata. This is from perizoma, and that is a covering. That is what they made for themselves using the leaves of this fig. Now, it's interesting to sort of step back and see some of, again, the connections within the text itself. The translator of the Greek here, but also the Hebrew narration does this as well, are making some really interesting word connections so that you can see the sort of cascading effects of all of this. And so if you remember from Genesis 3:5, the serpent had said, "For God knows that on the day in which you eat from it," that is from the forbidden tree, diagnoitheson tai humon, hoi ophthalmoi. And so he says, look, your eyes are going to be opened, and you'll be as gods, knowing gnoskontes, good and evil. And in the sort of twist of irony, if you want to call it that, their eyes were indeed open, just like Satan had promised. But they don't become like gods, nor are they able to perceive good and evil in the way that God was trying to protect them from. But they know, notice the use of gnosko again, that they are naked and they feel this shame. And so it's a very sad and tragic outcome in the narrative. Their eyes were open, just like Satan said they would be. But instead of understanding really from a divine perspective the nature of good and evil, all they know is their shame. And so that's Genesis 3:7.